God-centered emotional healing. Healing emotional wounds can increase your joy, influence better decisions, and enhance relationships. In this video, you will learn a simple tool to help you dump emotional garbage. It doesn't require an education, degrees, or experience, and it's simple enough that just about anybody can do it. It's best accomplished with one person guiding another. The person you will be working with needs to have a clear and open mind, the ability to imagine, a desire for emotional healing, and willingness to let God be the healer. Many have reported being amazed that something so simple can be so powerful. So here goes. I'm going to teach it to you right now. This tool is all about visualization. So have the person you're working with visualize his or her image of God. This can get tricky because some people have no idea what God might look like. So these pictures can give you some ideas of what a person might use. Those who don't have a concrete mental image can use a metaphor that represents God as they understand God. But please, avoid images of a vengeful or angry God and just stick to something pleasant, supportive, and conducive to healing. Some have resistance to God because they've been religiously or spiritually abused. Others are not sure if there's a God but are willing to believe there could be one. The following is an approach that I learned in Codependence Anonymous many years ago and has proven to work well in cases like this. Have the person you're working with construct their own perception of God by making a list of attributes that they hope God has. Something like this. Have the person you're working with make their own list. Just make sure they're all positive so your perception of God is one that you can trust and depend on. Once done, apply this list to the mental image or metaphor that you've chosen to represent God. My experience has been that this works great. But if you find your image not working, you might want to try another perception of God or have someone with more experience help you out. For the purposes of this video, I will be using this metaphor of a shining bright light to represent God. With a positive image or metaphor that represents God in mind, you are ready to go on to step number 2, which is having your person think of a troublesome memory that they would like to resolve. It's a good idea to start out with a minor one just to get used to the process. With those two things in mind, your image of God and your negative memory, you're ready to go on to step number 3, which is having your person imagine his image of God going directly into the painful memory. And then notice what happens. Usually the negativity begins to subside and the perception changes to something resolved, or maybe even pleasant, such as this example. Believe it or not, I just taught you the tool. That's it. How simple can it be? Placing your image of God directly into the uncomfortable memory. Usually it will begin to resolve in just a few seconds or sometimes minutes. This can't change the fact that life events happened the way they did, but my experience has been that when God infuses his understanding into the memory, the perception usually improves. This same technique can also be used for resolving emotions alone, without memories attached, and this is how that would work. Have the person you're working with think about his troubling emotion and have him notice where he feels the feeling. It could be anywhere inside of the body or even outside of the body to some degree. So here's an example. As this person thinks about his sadness, he may notice the feeling like a heavy cloud looming over his head. Have the person introduce his visual image of God right into the place where he's feeling the feeling and instruct him to notice what happens and report it to you. It could end up feeling like this. If the sadness reduces but doesn't completely resolve, ask the person to notice where the remaining feeling is located. It could be in the same place or a different place. Wherever it may be, do the same thing again until it resolves completely. Emotions can be stored in layers, so if more sadness shows up on another day, do it again, the very same way, until it's gone and stays gone. Let's say this person is experiencing anger and reports feeling it in the gut. Have your person introduce his image of God right into the place where he's experiencing that feeling, and it usually ends up feeling kind of like this looks. Let's say a feeling of loneliness is located in the heart area. Introduce the image of God into the lonely feeling, and once again, most report quick resolution. Some memories can be so toxic that your own mind blocks them from you. But they can still generate a lot of uncomfortable feelings anyway that you have to live with every day. The beauty of this approach is that you can sometimes resolve those blocked memories by applying your image of God right into the place where you feel the feelings. This technique can also work just as well by imagining a ray of light going from God to the difficult memory or emotion, just like that. Let's say your person just sent the light to a painful memory of being bullied, and it has been resolved. However, you know there are many more memories just like that one because the bullying went on for years. How do you handle more than one memory? God is a multitasker and can easily resolve groups of memories all at the same time. All you need to do is imagine that the light penetrates deep into memory, even to those places you couldn't possibly remember, and just ask God to resolve all of the bullying memories, just like He did the first one. And my experience has been that He does. He just needs an invitation. What God does for you depends on your belief, desire to be healed, and an invitation to let Him do what He is able. Another point. Some have reported doing this tool successfully on themselves, and I certainly would encourage you to try. However, I find it works better with one person guiding another. You might have someone else learn the tool with you so you can work on each other. What a blessing it would be for every parent to be able to help their children with emotional owies and wounds soon after they happen. Otherwise, they may carry their emotional baggage into adulthood. Here's something that happened recently. While I was with a group of people, I noticed two little 10-year-old boys who had just seen a horrible image on a computer. I could see the obvious horror on their faces and that they couldn't shake it off. I asked each of the boys if they would let me do something to help them feel better, and they agreed. I also got permission from their parents, and by the way, always get permission before you do this on anyone. I asked them to imagine God, or the light from God, going right into the terrifying memory. Within seconds, relief came over their faces, and they told me it didn't bother them anymore. They settled right down and continued playing. Weeks later, I did it with another young man who had experienced physical ailments since he had looked at a similar computer image. And it took just seconds to resolve that one as well. His father told me later that his physical symptoms had lifted after we did that work. So if you or others that you know have been feeling sort of like this, and you haven't known how to find rescue, why not turn those emotional wounds into wisdom by using this God-centered technique? So that's it. That's the tool. How can something so simple be so powerful? Well, if you've ever heard of the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous and all of its other affiliated programs, this tool reflects the third of the 12 steps, asking God to do for you what you cannot do for yourself. Only it's done in a visual way. This tool is not affiliated with the 12-step program, but it does reflect that third step. Disclaimer. Results vary. And results depend more on the person you're working with than on the facilitator, God, or the tool itself. A person who's highly motivated, open, and willing may get fast, miraculous results, just like I showed you, while another person with little to no motivation, drug interference, and some other factors may get no response at all. Children are always the easiest to work on. They usually get excellent results in very short order. They're not complicated yet like some of us adults. The type and duration of a person's abuse or trauma could also determine the adequacy of this tool alone. Some trauma happened over such a long period of time or started at such an early age that it would require a trained facilitator with more experience and tools to handle the complexity of those kinds of issues. Sometimes the person's emotional issues aren't even caused by unresolved memories or emotions. As an example, a person suffering with medication-caused anxiety will probably have little to no response with this tool because their anxiety has been chemically induced. Some have built up unconscious or conscious walls of resistance. You can try placing the image of God or the light from God into the place where the resistance is felt, and sometimes that's all it takes to break the walls down. But sometimes there are just too many complications and the resistance holds. In those cases, you may want to refer to a more experienced facilitator, which can be found on the website I'm going to show you in just a minute. And there will be other kinds of similar situations that keep it from working. So just apply it when you can and appreciate when it does work for you. The good news is, because this uses nothing more than a simple image of your perception of God to do the healing, I have never witnessed it do any harm in the attempt. So if you'd like to take even better control of your emotional health, please visit this website, findingthehealer.com. Watch the introductory videos and check out the links below. It may help you gain an even deeper understanding of how and why this process works for you. If you have any questions, you can email 123@findingthehealer.com. Also, visit this Facebook page, SRT, Subconscious Reparative Techniques, but you'll probably only have to put in SRT and it'll bring the whole thing up. So thanks for watching. I hope this will grace your life. God bless you all, and bye for now.